I started recording already since I'm late.
Wizard is never late. He arrives precisely when he means to.
Also, when was I the one that was starting this?
I think you invited me, so I assumed it was you hosting, but I could have assumed incorrectly.
I invited you?
I think so.
Because I thought that you invited me and then we were going to do an episode of Holy Techne later. But now we're not doing Holy Techne. So I don't know what we're doing.
I'm trying to figure out where the rainbow's coming from. I think I know on my eye.
There's a rainbow
Uh,
on your eye?
yeah. Oh wait, did the sun just get covered with a cloud? Maybe. Yeah. If you want, I could send you a link to mine. We could do that. Do it.
Oh, no, we're already recording.
Yeah.
That's why I decided to already record because I just figured we would just start in chaos where I'm not even set up. And then, because it's like we already kind of know each other.
Everything starts in chaos. Kind of. Yeah. I'm still getting a read on you.
What?
You're still evolving and unfolding in my psyche, which is a good thing, by the way. It's rare that that's the case.
You told me that you trust me.
I do. There's levels of trust. It's just the level of trust. Yeah. So very spur of the moment, I was looking under my office, under my desk, and I think he used to be up there on the top of. Oh, you can't. On the top of that particular shelf over there. I think that's where he used to be. I found this guy under my focus. Can you focus? Can you focus? Can you can you focus? It almost focused. Hold on, I got to move in front of my face. There we go. Yeah, this guy. It's one of my original army dudes from the 80s. Probably predates the 80s. It might even be 70s.
Were you born in the
Firing a
70s?
mortar. No, no, I'm not that old.
I don't know how old you are.
Vampire.
That's one of the weirdest things about the corner to me is like I don't know anybody's ages.
I can usually tell within about 5 minutes. I mean, you can get a sense of how someone looks, but then by how they talk, you can get a sense. I mean, some people talk. It is rare that there's an older person that talks like a younger person. It's more common that a younger person talks like an older person. That's relatively common.
Wait, I gotta go. I have to go get something for you.
Yeah, no problem. I did want to talk with Ethan about Techne. I wanted to talk to him about Techne as centered set Techne versus bounded set Techne. Because I just listened to his conversation with Annie Crawford, and that was very much about bounded set Techne. Sense that we have to govern the Techne. But here he's back with some Techne.
Also, I should clarify this isn't for you. It just I thought you would like it.
Sounds good.
This is gonna be the most awkward recording ever. I'm really into it.
What happens, happens, and let's let the chips fall where they may.
Because this is the exact opposite of what I always do. I'm always prepared, and I always have a plan. And this is not that.
I ate some chips this morning for breakfast. Corn
Really?
chips. Well, they were leftover from my wife last yesterday. Yeah.
Was there eggs and bacon on it?
No. It was because it was Cinco de Mayo yesterday.
Yeah. It was. Wait, what does corn chips have to do with being prepared?
I said let the chips fall where they may.
I'm not even gonna. I'm not even gonna respond to that.
He's
There's
unwrapping the present.
It's not. It's not for you. It's not. I'm not giving this to you. It's not a
It's
present.
of me, not for me. Because of
Well,
you.
kind of.
Uh-oh.
Kind of.
He got a framed photo of the 5 of us. No? You blew up that photo?
Oh, definitely not. Do you want to tell people why you told me that I was autistic? We could start there.
I don't remember the exact reason I told you.
It was because I was talking to the waiter. I was chatting with the waiter.
No, that's not the
Yes,
reason.
that's all it was. I was just being
I
friendly.
I thought you were autistic even before the waiter.
I texted Sartori about it, and he gave me this like long, detailed response about autism. That I'm excited to talk to him about autism.
Well, let me ask you this. Throughout your life, have you found that you have unexpectedly made other people uncomfortable with how you've acted?
Unexpectedly, no.
Unexpectedly. Like,
Intentionally, yes. It's all performance. Everything is performance. It's all performance. I am performatively autist. I'm not actually autistic. It's all performance. It's all performance art.
does the autist... Okay. So the true artist never sins because they're always in the performance of sin. Right?
Dude, the autists are going to have my back. They're not going to claim me. They're all going to rise up and they're going to be like, no, he ain't one of us.
It's not sin, it's art. It's not ought, it's art.
I feel uncomfortable that you're equating autism with sin right now.
Well, people use mental illness as an excuse for behaving certain ways. Do you think some percentage of mental illness is a cope? It's beautiful. So it's Daedalus and his son, huh? Before the fall.
Yeah, it's Icarus's workshop.
It's funny that Icarus already called it his own workshop.
Or Daedalus's workshop. Daedalus's
For
workshop.
his father's death. Is that a prodigal son thing?
I don't know, man. I'm stressed.
Okay, I'm sorry. Is it because
No.
I called you? I apologize for calling you an autist.
No. It's funny because I've never been called that before. So I thought it was so interesting. I've been called a lot of things. Yeah. Never that before. That was a first.
Yeah, it's more so. So you have the Grim Grizz thing in that you have a way of moving and acting and having your being that is not typical. So either it's an excellent performance or it's that's why that's one of the reasons I said I was the most normal one at that table. I mean, Chad does too, but one thing I've noticed with Chad, at least over the last 3 years, he's gotten better at being around normal people. I've noticed that about Chad. Yeah. Yeah, like that reaction there. Like, so you might retort that there is no such thing as a normal person. I think almost every characteristic you have, there's a normal distribution of human behavior, of anything.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
normal distribution. Yeah, and what I'm saying is, like, for some people, the normal distribution of many different types of behaviors is on one particular side of the spectrum, or however you measure. And so for those people, often it's really hard to navigate just normal things that society considered normal 20 years ago that are now less normal, like just talking to strangers and being able to hang out and make conversation in public areas. Yeah, stuff like that. I don't think, by the way, I don't think you have any trouble talking with strangers. I don't think stranger danger or I don't think you suffer from a lack of courage. That's one way of
No,
putting it.
strangers have trouble talking to me.
It's probably true.
Wait, so do you think Chad and Grim are also autistic?
No, Chad has jokingly, Grim might be a little bit. Chad has jokingly referred to himself as right brain autistic. Yeah, both of them are neuroatypical. So whatever judgment you want to put there, neuroatypical.
So is the read on Neal? Is this like
Yeah.
Neal is the normie that got stuck in the TLC?
I'm not normal either, but I'm used to.
That was a triple sigh. That was a quadruple sigh right there.
Yeah. I'm used to really holding back, like really holding back over let's say the last 30 years of my life, since probably even before I was 10 years old. But I've gotten very good at concealing the majority of myself from most people. And the reason I've gotten very good at that is because if you're able to pick up a pattern in your own behavior, like there's also like I read How to Win Friends and Influence People when I was 19. So we went on a skiing snowboarding trip, some college friends and me, and we were at a cabin, and I just picked it. The book was on a shelf of the cabin. I just started picking up and reading it, and it's one of the very few things that I ever stole, and I stole that book from the cabin. I stole it.
Wow.
Yeah. And because I was is so ironic is that I stole that book because I was like 2 or 3 chapters in and I was like, this is why I lose so many friends. Like this is why people really dislike me or I yeah.
Wait, what is why?
How to Win Friends and Influence People. I mean, Chad would call it the self-centered thing. They don't use the self-centered. They don't use the AA language. But that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is that it reverses the polarity of everything to say what you really want to focus on is whatever the other person is focused on, whatever they
Yeah.
need, whatever they're looking for, etc. Yeah, so that so with me and Chad, like it takes one to know one, and so this self-centered thing is like my default assumption is that whatever I'm thinking about or caring about is of course the most important thing to think about or care about. Yeah, so like coming to realization there that and it wasn't even a realization. I mean, it was a realization that I was self-centered, but like I think that probably was laying the groundwork for me to come to Jung later in life because with Jung, it's so fascinating to think like because it forces you to contend with what am I projecting, and then from the question of like what am I projecting, then you can begin to try to assess what others are projecting, and then once powers and principalities come into it, like ooh, we project at a societal level or at this level or at that level, and so that was my fascination with Jung is that there's so much going on under the surface at every level of principality in terms of the things that we care about versus like the outside and the inside, you could say, like what we reflect to the world in terms of what we care about, and then what we actually care about, or what our actual motives are. Yeah, and that makes me particularly annoying because I'm annoying for 2 reasons. Number one is like I'm making judgments on what people are projecting or not projecting, and that's just annoying, right? That's like the asshole. It's like, no, I didn't ask for a tarot card read. And then the second part is like probably half the time I'm wrong, and probably I'm the one projecting half the time. So, but again, this is why I try to only show what I'm thinking about, 10% of the time, or 10% of what I'm thinking about. Yeah.
I don't think you're annoying.
Thank you.
So, internet Neal, then,
Mhm.
is that showing what you're thinking about?
Yeah. I mean, if I compare, okay. So if I compare what I'm able to show of myself on live streams or conversations with like what I'm able to compare with what I'm able to show with most people in my day-to-day life, with most people in my day-to-day life, I
Yeah.
would say I show more on the internet conversations. Now there are exceptions to this rule. Obviously, family. Okay. No, I would say there's two areas of accept because you can't have philosophical, psychological conversations with work colleagues unless you've established a layer of trust that goes beyond just pragmatic work, let's say. It's not a good idea to jump into that. In my experience, um, there are two exceptions, I would say. So I'm part of a Bible study with my church where they know me better than all of you guys know me, I would say. With exceptions like Chad and a few others know me as well or better. Um, and then also I'm involved in this men's retreat, this Catholic men's retreat called Acts. We just put on our retreat last weekend. It was
Mm.
amazing. Um, there's a lot of cross reference in TLC, but yeah, that's a bigger conversation. But anyway, yeah.
So you don't really live stream much. You like pre-recorded videos.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Mm, I'm still figuring that out. I
Have you've
think,
thought about it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I'm less interested. I think I'm less. Hmm, this is again. This is me projecting. So like in many like my sin, man, is I compare myself to generalities and other people.
What, were you comparing yourself to Luke Thompson? Also, I need to mention Luke Thompson because we mentioned Chad and Grimm. So if I don't mention Luke Thompson, the Trinity is not complete. So now the video can go on without.
Yeah. Um. The well, okay, okay. So I think I read this in a Myers Briggs once, but I thought it did nail me appropriately. Where if I feel like the responsibility for something has been relinquished, then that's where I typically hit. Like that's where I typically go. If I'm like, we're not so I forget there was a conversation either today or yesterday where people were talking about whining. It was the Luke stream yesterday, talking about the whining. Yeah. So
Complaining.
like complaining. Yep. So this was a huge realization for me was that when I realized that most of what Carl Jung would call psychic energy comes from the things that typically would be whined about, but that you could take that same energy and apply it to doing something like the same
Yeah.
place. The reason why free speech is actually so useful and awesome is because you have a pent up energy within someone, or you could call it whatever you want, a drive, anger, resentment, etc. And if that anger and resentment isn't expressed in some way, shape, or form, it's going to be expressed in some way, shape, or form. Now, for me, I channeled that into a journal during my darkest days. And that was the best, like for drawing poison from a wound, that was the best repository of that poison. Um, but not everyone knows that that's a really good repository for that sort of okay, not everybody wants to actually deal with their resentment and their anger and their fear and all that stuff. B, because it's really hard to address it head on. B, even if they do want to address it head on, people don't know options that are available to them. And the first one, almost the first option is automatically like, I can't control my mouth and my mouth just goes. And then to have the free speech thing is, you can only have a free speech culture if you have a culture of forgiveness. Like ultimately what that's about is a culture of forgiveness. Um,
Hmm.
and it's like we're going to prioritize forgiving, and words are easier to forgive than actions. And so we're going to allow the words to come out, and then we're going to keep on forgiving like 49 times, way more than that. So it allows that psychic energy to be expressed both at an individual and collective level, and it prevents things like riots and yeah, um, all that, all the worst things. Um, okay, where did I want to?
Well,
What?
you started
Sorry.
talking about Luke streaming complaining, and then
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
gonna
okay, okay. Yeah. So I realized that I could take that energy where it's like this isn't being done, and then I could like do it. Like I could. That was my impetus. That was my energy to actually do stuff. And then I also realized that like what I'm gonna regret at the end of my life is like not doing stuff. Like I only have 40 years left, and it's like I'm not gonna regret. Okay, so like most
I knew you were 50 years old.
most people live to be about 80. Um,
You were gonna
I,
regret it
I
if you
am
didn't
I
do
am
it.
I am more intrinsically motivated than most people I come in contact with. Um, Meaning that like I'm mostly focused on what a kind of a selfish way of putting that is like what I know I'm going to regret at the end of my life is like not doing enough, or not putting all of my energy into doing instead of reacting, you could say. Like at the end of my life, like whatever's going on in our culture like right now, however much that's taking my psychic energy and my focus, um I know that that's going to be nothing compared to like, man, I could have instead like built a better game. Like I could have instead mentored more young men. I could have instead gotten better at the art that I was interested in. I could have instead, like it's all this like opportunity cost regret that I'm going to have at the end of my life. But like post, like honestly, if I look back at my journey thus so far, I don't I don't have that much regret, because I have been. Maybe it's because I've leaned it like I think I was inherently fairly conscientious, but my job after college made me like ultra conscientious, and then post Peterson, like Peterson made me even more conscientious. I think one thing I've learned though post Peterson, especially is illness, is I can't be conscientious focused on the same thing all the time. Like I can't, if I like I can't Adderall. I've never taken Adderall by the way, but I can't like Adderall brain 80 hours a week on video game development and do nothing else and not be distracted. Like I can't do it. I can go all out on video game development for like an hour or 2 hours, and then I can go all out on a conversation for an hour or 2 hours, and then I can go all out on making like the next worldly news for an hour or 2 hours. Like I have to pace myself. Yeah, I have to pace myself, and I have to kind of spread that out. And then it's not even going all out. Like I do have obviously I work, and there are things I do where I'm not required to go all out. And that's the stuff where I can listen to my friends and care about the things that, and just, allow my brain to wander and percolate and um, dwell on the things that inevitably pop into my consciousness. So anyway, that's maybe it gives you a general sense of how I work and what motivates me.
But why do you like pre-recorded videos more than live streams? Also, if you don't want this to be an interview, you're gonna have to break my frame because my natural posture is to slip away into the background, and so
I I mean, I do have some things I want to poke you about, but We'll see if they just come up naturally. And while you stepped away, I actually spoke one into existence into the camera. So if you're tempted to rewatch the conversation before you post it, that's up to you.
Well, I always do like a live premiere so I can participate in Virtually Not Alone.
Yeah.
And I was doing it Thursday nights, but then it didn't seem important then. So I moved it to Monday afternoons, which was more important in terms of there being space. But I'm still trying to find what's the loneliest hour of the workday. And I haven't
Mm.
determined that yet. I think it's afternoon.
Yeah. So okay. So like this is a great example because this might actually pop into um be related to the not live question that you asked me. Um, because something flipped in me that the right way to go about this is like Chad was doing this unconsciously, and then I have a tendency of like making things conscious and explicit that other people do implicitly. Like I tend to say the quiet part out loud in terms of the genius of things. So what Chad was doing implicitly was what he was doing implicitly was a public face that was pushed people away. That's like by any normal standard, this pushes people away. But then once you get to know the person past that public face, like wow, wow,
You're
wow.
talking like wrestling mask era?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But there were other things in that too. It was like his thumbnail design, and it was um like how he named videos, and like no form, all substance, like the complete opposite of your typical veneer and sheen. Um and my favorite band that Chad introduced me to is I realized one of the reasons that I actually love their music, but I love everything about them because the band's name is Bill
Bill
Murray.
Murray.
Yeah. And so it is this, right? So like if someone tells you about the band, you can't find it because you just look up Billmurray and then you won't find the band. So like it's like they go out of their way, and then if you watch a music video of the best song will have the guy like at his suburban house driving his lawn or pushing his lawnmower with his dog, and that's the music video, you know. And so like, oh, you're getting all excited, and the music is like intense, and it's country metal, which is like what, how like country metal, it's like yeah, yeah. And so I love everything about it. It's prolif yeah, anyway.
It's
But
prophylactic.
yeah, I take my prophylactics. And yeah, where am I going with this? Okay, so
Chad
I
was pushing people away with
yeah.
thumbnail
So
design and the face, all form, no substance. No, no form, all substance.
yeah, so I decided to drop my videos in whatever I thought would be the least attention way. Like I said, like that's the rule. Meaning like I don't like I want everything to be the best it can be, but like I'm going to do it in like the least attention way. Or challenge myself. Because okay, so I have something. So here's an example. The uh the next worldly news is coming out um if all goes to plan, Monday, May 18th.
Breaking news.
Yeah, it's before Pentecost. Um, it's related to Pentecost. And I'm doing something very different. And there's a part of it that I'm tempted to like just do as a standalone video because I'm like, well, this part could be more broadly appreciated, adulated by my adoring public. This particular part. And it's like, no, no, not going to play that game. So, like, this came to me. I don't know. I won't say that this was like a prayer, but it was something like, okay, Neal, you're allowed to play the comedy game at one level of principality up from your family. You're allowed to play the artist game one level of principality up from your family. You're allowed to play the whatever game, the music game, one level of principality up from your family, like church. But then the temptation is like, no, I'm gonna try to play the global game. I'm gonna try to play the biggest game. It's like, no. That's not the way this works. You are allowed to play the game at the local community level. That's it. So that's the techne self-discipline to say, okay, this is how I'm able and willing to use the techne, because this is the level I'm actually at. Because like if I get Nathan Norman level attention for something, like I'm not ready for that. Like I'm just not.
Why?
Because I'm not ready for it. Like I'm not ready unless I'm not ready. Like the person who says they're ready is not ready. And the person who is ready, that has to be up to something that's beyond me, if that makes sense. Like, okay, another example. David Busatil, for months, maybe years, has tried to encourage people to put on theatrical productions in the corner, try to encourage them to do Shakespeare. And just recently, it's like a few people like Matt Skankenstein, a few other people are like, we should do Shakespeare. And they thanks be to God, they remember David Busatil, and they're like, hey, this guy's actually like a professional in this area. This guy could actually direct us and teach us. And I said to David, I'm like, that is the right time. That is when you know it's the right time to do something. You know it's the right time to do something, like something that's like reaching beyond to that next level, when it's coming from someone outside or someone when you're doing it. It's in the show, the miniseries Rome, it's a pretense. Caesar needs a pretense to cross the Rubicon, or Attila the Hun needs a pretense to invade the Roman Empire. And it was this lady that was like imprisoned as a nun, and she was like, I'll marry you and then you'll be a legit heir and we'll have babies and Roman, Hungarian, Hunnish, lovely. And anyway, so Attila invades. Yeah, so there needs to be a pretense to do something. And or don't get me wrong, like there can be other times when like it genuinely comes up from within you and you just know it's the right thing to do. I'm not saying that you can't be internally motivated. In fact, I'm internally motivated. But like the worldly news stuff, that was Chad saying, hey, we should do this. And I was like, oh yeah, let's do it. And then when Chad deleted his channel, for me, that was a pretense to do my own channel. Because I was like, all right, I still want to talk to people. I can't upload conversations on Chad's channel. So I have to do my own. Yeah.
So how come you don't do live streams? You only do pre-recorded?
Because we have a sufficient amount of live streamers right now.
You think there's enough?
But yeah, no, I think y'all have the morning space covered better than ever in the history. You got Luke in the midday. You got McMo's coming back. I love the feud that you guys are throwing down. I think your feud.
It's really not a feud. Like McMo's is just like tossing blue shells. You ever play like Mario Kart? It's just like, I mean, you like for me, it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna get some blue shells. Like I understand that. I get how it works. So I expect the blue shells.
I love the fact that you're playing down the feud so that people think you're the good cop and you're actually not the instigator of this whole feud, that you didn't start it. I love the fact that you're making it seem like you're the good guy. Exactly.
No. Go to the history books. I did not start this.
Exactly. I know, right?
I didn't start it.
So that's why the feud is so great, because together you are stitching the corner together through your benevolent.
I can tell you who started it.
Disagreement.
Do you want to know who started it?
No, I just want to pick a fight.
Because it's you. You're part of it. It's the Lost Signal Boys.
You're part of it now.
The Lost Signal Boys started it. So it's
you
really
it's
a 10 to 1, 10 or 12 to 1. And McMo is just the face of it, which is more fun for me, because if it was just 1 to 1, I'd be bored out of my mind. But thankfully, McMo has an army. Like yesterday, President Foxman was like, I want to fight you in the back of a Safeway. and I tried typing. It like the back won't be safe when I'm done with your way. Like, but I got blocked. It was on Ezra's thing. I was on Ezra's screen. I tried typing and it blocked my message back to him. But like, so that's an example of like the lost signal boys that are coming at me, and then I'm fine with it.
What do you have against Signal?
I have nothing against Signal. I'm glad there's friendship. It makes me happy to know there's friendship. Because
Yep.
when I first got to TLC, some of the friendships I thought existed didn't exactly exist in the way that I imagined them to exist. When you get like behind the scenes and you're like, oh, huh. And then you see what happens in Signal and you're like, the fact that I can't see it means the friendship might be like real. Because it's one thing like to be like my profile is friends with your profile. It's a different thing for my human being to be friends with your human being.
Yep. That's how I actually trust what we're doing here, and that's what I mean by that is like if my channel disappeared tomorrow, like who would I stay in contact with? And I made a list of people actually. Yeah, because the 3-letter agency they asked me for a list, so I made one, and I've got like 30 people on that list.
Narc. Such a good narc.
Sorry, you froze. Maybe I froze, but I can still hear you. Oh, now you're back. You're good. You're good.
Yeah, I was just saying you'd be a really good narc.
Yeah. He's making a list, checking it
But
twice.
okay, 30 people. That's a long list.
I have more friends today than I've ever had in my entire life. And so the way I would define a friend is someone I genuinely care about. I care what happens to them, and not in terms of like I care about humanity and I want everybody to recycle, and not that way. It's like no, like this specific person, I would pray for them, I would attend their wedding, I would attend their funeral, I would be there for them. If they came to town, I would do whatever I need to do to support them. That's what I mean. I have about 30 of those people now. And like that's such a foreign concept to me. I mean, like the closest I've ever had to that is in a fraternity in college.
Yeah.
And it was similar, but like when you're in college, you're kids, and you don't have that sense of responsibility that you have with age. But it's just a remarkable thing. It's somewhat of a foreign concept to me, and I try not to really worry about it. It's more of like the way I think about it is like if these are people I genuinely, I don't think of it in terms of responsibility. Like I know that's there, but like I think about it more in terms of like these are people I just genuinely care about, and it makes the friendship easy, and the yoke is easy, and the burden is light, sort of thing. And you're on the list, by the way. You're one. Yeah.
Well, going to a wedding is like, I mean, that's a legitimate financial commitment. Like plane tickets and hotels aren't like cheap.
Yeah.
So if you're like going to spend $1,000 to see somebody, like that's $1,000 is $1,000. I mean,
Yeah, but well, Parlato is getting married, and unfortunately, I won't be at his wedding. But it's mainly because I have no vacation days at the moment. Um, but I absolutely support him in his marriage, and I think of him as a friend. So, yeah,
I sat next to Parlato at Midwestuary one day when we both skipped estuary.
I can imagine the two energies of you two being an interesting combo.
I just sat there silently. I didn't say anything. And
Yeah,
at one point, he turned to me and was like, "Are you okay, man? Do you want to join this conversation?" And I was like, "No, I'm happy listening."
yeah. I knew you had a lot going on at Midwestuary, so I didn't press you. Um, yeah.
You know, I don't know why people hate dead air. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, I don't mind it either. Actually, I've gotten to the point where you do these recordings enough. Um, it's not that you don't feel more self-conscious when you're recording. You still feel it, but I don't know. Well, okay, the more I've been more certain of like what I'm doing in the corner, like what I care about in the corner.
And what
Um,
are you doing? You just said
I
you're
am
certain
making
of what you're
friends.
doing.
Yeah, no, no, no. I'm trying to think it in terms of order of priorities, in order of importance. Um, Making, establishing, keeping, strengthening friendships. 100%. Still self-centered. Secondary to that, yeah, it's still like I want friends, you know. So like when I started doing stuff for my church, like when I became Catholic and practicing Christian, you know, going back to like knowing I'd regret stuff at the end of my life, like what's motivating me. I'm like, okay, I've got to serve, but like, um, this was Carl Jung, but it's like, don't pretend to be more virtuous than you are. So I said, anything I serve in, I have to genuinely enjoy it. Like it could be
Yeah.
something that on occasion I'm not in the mood or I don't feel like it, but I make myself do it anyway. But if it's something where on an ongoing basis, like I'm like, oh, I hate this. I don't want to do this. I don't like, or I'm just like basically I'm resentful towards God for making me serve him. If that is the case, that is going to kill my soul. Like I'm going to die. And so I had to find things where I could serve in my church that were genuinely helpful and useful, b, that I genuinely enjoyed doing. And and a third one would be nice if I was good at it. Um and thanks be to God, like they just kept presenting themselves to me. Like the first one was I was not even Catholic yet. I was just discerning becoming Catholic, and there, you know, I listened to Peterson Genesis lectures and all that, and then a lady stood up at the podium of our church, and she's like, we've launched like 20 of these Bible studies, and it's taking off, and it's a great way to learn the gospel, and we cover whatever the reading is for the next Sunday. And so I joined that Bible study and I talked way too much, but I was the youngest one there. And I think they were just happy to have me. And it was honestly, it was awesome. And I learned the Gospels, especially. One thing I notice about most Protestants I run into in the corner, they know the epistles better than me. They know St. Paul and even James and Peter. They know them better than I do. But man, for every epistle that every St. Paul quote that they quote, I will drop them straight from Jesus Christ. I'll hit them back with. I have not met a Protestant yet. I mean, maybe some of the pastors, but like I know the Gospels really well. Like I don't know them by like verse or chapter. I can't tell you, oh, that's Mark chapter 6 or whatever. But like, you know, there will be a reference to something that Jesus says, and I'll be like, well, it's like this. And like I'll give them two or three other things that Jesus said that are similar in their style, or but I can contrast. So like the spirit of the Gospels, man, like I love the Gospels so much. I just love them. And
Which one do you like the most?
I mean, probably John, but it, it, that
Everybody likes John.
yeah, but John's the weird one, you know. So, but I don't. I mean, I okay. I'll give you my three favorite resurrection stories. My three favorite are the road
you're
to
picking.
Emmaus.
You're picking three. Oh, I thought
Yeah,
you meant. I thought you meant three. Like you were gonna pick. I like Matthew's resurrection, Mark's resurrection, and
no,
Luke's
no, 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 no,
You
no,
mean
no.
post resurrection? Okay, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. Okay, the road to Emmaus. I love the road to
Yeah,
Emmaus.
yeah.
I think that's the entire gospel in a nutshell in a single story. And then the Doubting Thomas. Doubting Thomas is actually the saint that I chose as my confirmation saint, because I was the physicalist, materialist guy. I was agnostic in regard to God, but I was like, yeah, man, um, I can I can touch the science. I know technology works because we're having this conversation right now. I can see and touch that. So doubting Thomas was my guy. I didn't even realize when I chose doubting Thomas as my confirmation saint that he was like the most metal apostle. Like he's definitely the most metal. You know, when
Let us go and die. Let us go and
yeah,
die. Let us
heck
go
yeah,
and
man.
die.
Yeah. And what was the oh yeah, and the third story would be they see Jesus on the shore. John yells, "It is the Lord." After it's basically the retelling of the original story where they drop their nets instantly and follow him. What's really interesting about that last story, well, it's the three: feed my lambs, do you love me? Feed my lambs, feed my sheep, feed my lambs. It's like the only time Jesus emphasizes something three times. It's not an amen, amen, or a truly, truly. It's a three-time emphasis. It's like, you better do this, Peter. And but one thing that struck me about that story is 153 fish, and their nets were not torn. They say that their nets were not torn, and then in the beginning they're cleaning their nets, and then it occurred to me, it's like, oh, the net is the framework of the church. That's what the net is. The net is tradition. The net is liturgy. The net is everything that holds us properly within the church. It's all the relationships that we have within the church, and the TLC is a net to me. It's a net to me because I know if I do something stupid in my life, if I fall away, and in fact, those 10 apostles after doubting Thomas fell away, those 10 apostles after doubting Thomas said, like, oh, doubting Thomas was not in the room the first night. He was not there. And he didn't believe them when the 10 of them said, like, hey, we have seen the Lord. But you know what? Even though he didn't believe them, those 10 apostles made sure that he came back. So those 10 apostles did not have to convince Thomas of the risen Lord. What the 10 apostles had to do was they had to stay with him and not abandon him and pull him back in. It's the net analogy. They had to pull him back. The network that we have, what that network serves is for us not to fall out of the net. And that's what TLC is for me in no small part. It's like if I'm doing some bullshit, I'm going to get called out on it. And rightly so, because we're actually bound in the right spirit. It's a friendly competition in the right spirit. Because I care about what the 29 of you guys actually think of me. Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Okay, but you were talking about joining the Bible study and serving at church.
Okay. Yeah. Join. So that was awesome. I got to basically talk way too much. But learn the gospels, and then some about because then it moved on to the epistles after 3 years. And then I started my own in that same Bible study type. I started my own group. And we're still going, and we've been going 3 years. And after 3 years, then we move on to the epistles. And we're about to do that move. And I'm not looking forward to it because the epistles are meager gruel compared to the word of Christ. So sorry, all St. Paul fans out there. Not that I have anything against St. Paul, but it's one of the reasons why I'm convinced Jesus is who he says he is that the intensity and the power of those gospels. If you're just starting to read the Bible, don't start in Genesis. Start with the gospels. Start with, and I'm biased, but I would just start reading whatever the Catholic Church is reading on Sunday. And then I would go to the next Sunday and I'd follow the weekly, because the weekly, it does cycle A, cycle B, cycle C, and then it repeats. And there are certain parts of the Gospels I think that are that are potentially not focused on. I think there's very little. Those parts are still focused in daily masses, but the Sunday Mass, if you do the Gospel reading for the Sunday Mass for 3 years, you got like 80% of the Gospels. You got the vast majority of it. Yeah. And that was awesome. And then my wife's aunt invited me to Eucharistic adoration, which is just a 1 hour of prayer. Could you not stay awake with me for 1 hour? Just 1 hour of prayer, doing a weekly examen. That was hugely helpful. I have a hard time with that now. When I was really in the depths, when I was really depressed, really down, that was a life giving thing because
Mm.
that could allow me to make sense of my days and my weeks and not it still does that, but like I have a much harder time focusing. The happier I am, the more friends I have. I was complaining about this to Mark S. I have a much more difficult time focusing before the Lord because like I'm like things are good, Lord. Like I don't want to really look at my bullshit. Like I'm good, you know. And but that that I know that that's ego and that's so I'm very glad I still do that Friday nights. And then our church couldn't afford our organist anymore. Um, and we got a different organist, and our organist could sing, and he was very talented. We got a different organist, and she tried to sing, and bless her heart, was not great, which is why we could afford her. And so like after the mass, I went up to her and I said, "Hey, I think I could sing because I during COVID when I was working from home, I just started singing during the day, and it turns out that if you just start singing, you get better at it." And so I volunteered as a singer, and then she taught me. She's a very good teacher, and she taught me the responsorial psalm and the Kyrie and the Gloria and all different parts of. And so I've been cantoring for my church for 4 years, and that's been cool. And then our pastor is like, "We need a youth mass because we're a Salesian parish, and they are for the youth, young and the poor." And I play. I'm a Catholic electronic percussionist. Totally normal. So I play electronic drums, the youth mass, which is reasonably well attended. And our music is not, it's not great. Not terrible, but it's not great. But I love it. It's enjoyable. And I get to mentor, uh, you know, younger people that are part of our choir and part of, and also one guy plays piano. And yeah, so that's been really cool too. And that's Sunday at 8 o'clock. If you're in New Orleans, it's the latest mass west of the Mississippi on Sunday night. You could be partying all day Sunday. You could make it to mass. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
last but not least, sorry, you
No,
can
no, 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 no.
jump in. Um, the last thing I do, it's not church specific. This one is this one has got me thinking, like really got me thinking. And we could talk about this a lot, but I can't give you specifics, but it's got me thinking. I can give you enough that we can sink our teeth into it. Okay, so in 2018, when I had gone through my darkness, I had experienced an event I had experienced an experience, a phenomenological experience that if you would have told me that morning was possible, I would have said, not without drugs. I had that experience and I was starting to think about God in completely different terms. And my wife's aunt and uncle in Texas knew that I was asking these questions and thinking about these things. And they invited me on a retreat. And I was like, a Catholic retreat, a men's retreat. And I was like, well, yeah, absolutely. Because I was very much in trying, and I was still, I was searching, I was really searching. And they couldn't tell me much about it. But I went on this retreat in Texas, and it was exactly what I need when I needed it. I cried twice. And I don't cry, man. I'm a stoic. Like, I don't, 2% neuroticism, I think I said to you. Um, and
Something like that.
yeah, yeah. So, and then I started Rite of Catholic initiation in adults in September of 2018, joined the Catholic Church Easter of 2019, and then the following Easter was canceled for COVID, not doing the resurrection this year. And then luckily he rose again in 2021. And then, okay, so that retreat did not exist in my part of the country. It wasn't a thing. And then in like 2023, yeah, 2023, I heard that it was they were starting it in for the West Bank. Now, okay, the thing about Catholicism in New Orleans, it's Catholicism in New Orleans is very different than Catholicism in the rest of the country. Your typical parish, the rest of the country, will be this very large church. You'll have like 5,000 total people that are part of the church. It's massive. It's giant. So your typical mass at a church in the rest of the country, you'll have like at least 500 people in a mass, like in a single service. Like it's big. It's most Catholic churches are relatively like mega churchy, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Um, New Orleans, that is not the case because historically New Orleans was so Catholic that you would have a church per like neighborhood. So you'd have,
Oh.
like 100 years ago, you'd have now New Orleans population actually peaked in like the 50s, like immediate post World War II America. So people think that it's been declining since Hurricane Katrina. It's actually the population peaked. It was really an industrial boom town because of the Mississippi River and the port coming in um, from the Gulf of America. America. Okay. Okay. So it's been in decline for some time. So you have many, many, many old churches, older than 100 years old, 200 years, sometimes older, 200 years old in New Orleans, some of which are now closed. Um, because, and there's two reasons for that. Number one, or three reasons. Population has declined. Number two is that the secularity has moved in. Number three is that there's what I think happens is a diffusion. So where other parts of the country are becoming more Catholic because historically they have not been Catholic, here, because it's been like 100% Catholic, it's like people have a bad experience with the Catholic Church. They move to become Baptists. They move to Assemblies of God. They move to mega churches. So, the default status here is to move out of whatever tradition you were raised. It's much like Quebec in that way, shape, or form. The way Peugeot talks about Quebec, but it hit New Orleans later, I would say, than Quebec. And so, like, we've been going through that for the past 10 years, where the population has diminished post Hurricane Katrina. And then also our diocese, which is like all of New Orleans, was recently went through bankruptcy court. And yeah, so the church that I was part of closed, the church that my wife grew up in closed.
Hmm.
And then now we're in kind of a sister church of yeah, so the priest handled two churches, and now there's just one. But anyway, where I'm going with this. So for this type of retreat, usually it's the one church that puts it on, and it's like a 5,000 person church that puts on this retreat. So they have the people power to do it. Because that's not the case for churches in my area of New Orleans, we don't have these massive churches. We formed what's called the West Bank Coalition, and it's West Bank of the Mississippi. It's all the churches that are on the other side of the Mississippi River relative to New Orleans. Um, so we're kind of in the suburbs, but it's only like 10 or 15-minute drive into downtown. Um,
Does the Mississippi run through New Orleans?
yeah, well, it's right on. Like the Mississippi actually bends. So if you see it where New Orleans is, the Mississippi looks like it's running from the west to the east, but it's actually like so the Mississippi River comes down and it bends like this, and then it goes down again. And right at that bend on the north side of the river is New Orleans. But the south side of the river, like less
South
populated, and
Side. Sorry, I
yeah,
had
but
to
it's
do that.
actually the west bank of the river because it's been anyway. If you look at it on a map, and so that's where I'm at. So, but there's a running joke. It's like West Bank is the best bank because most people in
Many
New
people across the
Orleans,
world agree with you.
yeah, it's funny. Um, okay, so yeah, because we have this uncertainty of like what church is going to stay open and what church. We have Roman Catholics that are not Roman, but roaming, meaning they're not really committed. They're Catholics, but they're not committed to any one church because even after all the church closings, not clothings, within about a 15-minute drive from me, there's probably 5 to 7 Catholic churches. There's a lot, like within a 15-minute drive of me. Um, and yeah, so if that's the case, then you have choices to choose, and you don't know like which churches are going to stay open. And so we formed this West Bank coalition for this, and because they're smaller churches, we have this West Bank coalition for the retreat, where we're putting on this retreat. And so so I couldn't go the first year, which was 2023. Yes. And then I went on the second year. And this retreat, you can only go as a retreatant once. You can only receive the present once. And then but you can play the part of Santa Claus as many times as you want, as you know. So like after the first year of going and experiencing it, then you're part of the team that puts on the retreat. And in my opinion, in some ways it's more joyful to give rather than receive for this retreat. I love it. So anyway, so I did I was a member of the team 2024, 2025, and then this year. So in 2024, we had, I think, 15 team members and 20 retreatants. So we had a retreat of 35. That was 2024. 2025, we had about 25 and 25. So we went from 35 to 50. Then this year, and of the 25 we signed up last year, maybe 10 of them signed up within the last week or month. So we had to scramble. Like we did a real marketing push last year to like sign people up, like really hard marketing push. And we got like 10 more people to come. This year, 3 months out from the retreat date, 3 months out, we had 50 guys already signed up as first time. 50. And we had 30 team members and 50 guys. So we said like we can't make it any bigger. Like we run into problems of scale. And so we basically didn't market at all, and we had the retreat this year. And I had not cried for any of the 2 previous retreats, and this time I cried 3 times. Actually, three and a half.
Count your cries.
Yeah, because they're infrequent enough, man.
Because currently we're at 5.5 cries.
Yeah, I mean, I've cried more than that throughout my life, but you know, it's a measure of the, let's say, emotional potency of this retreat.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was really cool is that the retreat ends back at a church where we have mass, and that's the ending of the retreat. And you got 80 guys who march into that church, and they're all singing at the top of their lungs. And boy, is that a sight to see. Because maybe there are certain denominations where they're used to having everyone sing in the congregation, but man, that is not the case in Roman Catholic churches typically. So yeah, these 80 guys come in singing at the top of their lungs. And we had 2 priests, and priests can attend the retreat as well, but it's the same sort of thing. They have to be team members. They're just like peons with the rest of us. They have to be they have to be retreatants first, then they can join the team. And the church that we had our return mass into, that pastor, that priest, he went on the retreat for the first time. And he gave a homily where like he was on the verge of tears, where he basically said, this is a priest. He's about my age. He's about 40. Okay. So he's a younger priest. But he said like, I've been, this was his homily. This was his sermon. He said, I had been waiting for the next disappointment. Everything that's been happening for some time, I'm waiting for the next disappointment. And I now have hope for the first time in a long time. Like he said this publicly as part of his sermon, as part of his homily. Like he's like on the verge of tears. Like that brought me to the verge of tears. Like just waiting for the next disappointment. And I feel like that's where so many people are today. Like they're just waiting for the next disappointment. And yet like I have so much hope. Like I have so much hope within me. Like I have more hope within me than I've ever had, I would say, in some ways. But despite having more hope within me than I ever have, I think we have a much longer way to fall. And yet I have so much hope within me. It's a very weird, contradictory thing within me, because I really do think we have much further to go, but I have so much hope. So it's like, and maybe I can thread this needle because of what I was saying earlier about being motivated or driven by the things that I can do or will do. Because if you think about the moment in history where we are right now, like we are in, I really think this, like we are in an unprecedented moment in history in many different ways. And we could discuss this, but like one way of thinking about it is, man, woe unto me for being born unto this age. But another way of thinking about it is like, for those of us that voluntarily take on the responsibility, um, it's such an opportunity. Like it's such a blessing, you know. Like TLC. Like on one hand, I have this in-person retreat that is more efficacious in transforming people's lives and giving them hope than anything, any one experience or event that I have ever seen. And on the other hand, I have this secret group of freedom fighters in the wilderness, like David and his like 100 freedom fighters, just like waiting for Saul to crumble, or more so just waiting for God to tell David what to do, like what his move should be. And it can't be us like grabbing for the Tower of Babel, but it has to be on God. So like I have these two aspects of my life that seem absolutely essential to my identity. And the conclusion that I've reached is like I have to try to bridge these two as best I can. I have to be an open book, but I can't be a prophylactic. I can't use prophylactics because it's against my religion. I can't be a prophylytic. Uh, uh, I can't like, I can't be like, look at me, look at TLC, la la la. I can't have TLC be like, hey, we should do this kind of retreat, and I could, we could figure out something that's more an estuary. We could figure out some. I can't do that because I don't actually know the answer. I don't know how those two things blend in my own life. But what I do know is that I can't hide. I can't let the right hand know what the left hand is doing, but I also have to know. I have to let the right hand know what the left hand is doing, and I have to just allow it to be through God's grace. So what I mean is like if people come in to my local life in New Orleans, I have to I have to introduce them to some of the people that I know in my local life. I have to fold them into that,
Yeah.
and I have to love them and support them, whoever comes into the New Orleans area. And then on the other hand, like the people who are these like precocious, like philosophy and psychology and like struggling with the deepest existential questions of the universe, those people in my local life, which you know, um, those I have to bring. And oh yeah, we have an estuary at our Catholic church now. I didn't even mention that, but anyway, I got to bring them to estuary. I gotta, without being like, look at my YouTube channel. Yeah, I have to somehow like convince them that TLC is a thing, and that's gonna
No,
be fun. Like
I,
that's a heck of a journey. Yeah, I don't know how to do it, but it's gonna be fun.
you don't know how to do what? Say, hey, I make YouTube stuff.
Yeah, but like I don't know how to bridge these two aspects of my like I am so bad at converting people and trying to encourage people or get people to do things. Like I'm terrible at it. Like the guy, so I was kind of the second lieutenant, like the co-director on this retreat we just ran, and the guy who ran the retreat is like he's a natural leader. He's like 6'2". He's charismatic, and he's like, but he was a little bit. He was like very blue collar, and he's like just a magnetic personality, absolutely magnetic, and he was a little bit hesitant, trepidatious to take on the burden of directing the retreat. This one, because we try to do a new director every time. We try to have new roles for people so that they're kind of like interchangeable in parts, and we are the body of Christ. And if somebody falls, we can pick up our brother. But anyway, so this guy was being the director for the first time. We were encouraging him to do it, and I basically said to him, I said like, Carlos, like like I will support you. Like I will be the hand of the king. Like I will do all the stuff that's worrying him, right? Like I'll do all the spreadsheets and all the email stuff and all the, like all the electronic stuff with these white collar wrists. Like I will be that guy. And he did, he knocked it out of the park, man. It was sick. So
So you're doing a lot with your church, but we got here because I asked you, what are you doing in TLC, and you
yeah.
said building relationships.
Oh, okay.
Then you said something that I cannot remember, but it launched the church where we've been. But I can't remember what the second thing was, but I know there was a third thing coming.
I'm mentoring people that don't want to be mentored or don't know that they're being mentored. So Grim Grizz would call that mind. They would Grim Grizz would call that mind control.
No, he would not. No way. Wait, that's number 2?
Yeah.
Okay. What's number 3?
I can't actually tell. Can you cut that part out? Yeah, I'm just kidding. You can keep that in. Because the minute people know that they're being mentored, then they're like, well, screw this guy. I'm gonna go to the school of hard knocks. I need to experience rock bottom before I'll really be mentored. Yeah.
Well, I think that's why I laughed because yeah, I don't think you can mentor someone that doesn't know they're being mentored. I don't think it's possible.
It's good that you think that.
You think the opposite.
Oh yeah. Because we influence the hell out of each other. Like we care to the extent that we care about what we each think of each other. Like
Yes.
if you
Yeah, yeah.
genuinely like don't care what we all think about you, you're not going to get mentored because you don't care. To the extent that you care, whatever the spirit is that's binding you to all these different people, or to me, or to anybody for that matter, it's like to the extent that you care, you're going to be molded and changed by that person. I admire Chad so much because I struggle in my life to reach where I am. And I mean to reach where I am, it's like, okay, here was my like worst Neal and here's my best. Whereas for
Yeah.
Chad, that difference is like here. Like the mountain that he had to climb is like he was way lower than I was, and he reached way higher than I ever reached. So like that's that delta in transformation, that is remarkable. Like what I care about is people being transformed. Like transformed. And I mean that like it happens suddenly and it happens slowly. It we are transformed by grace in the moment when something miraculous happens, but we are also transformed with every action, every decision, everything we care about all the time, continuously. We are being transformed by each other and by whatever we're pursuing. Whatever we're coming into relationship with on a continuous basis, we are being transformed.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just have always seen mentorship as a very specific and explicit kind of thing, but we might have different definitions. Because when you talk about like communication is always like in contact with someone, and that contact shapes you, I go,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I wouldn't define mentorship as that, which is just a language game, probably.
Well, where I would flip it is say I am also being mentored. I am being schooled. Within a fraternity. We have this sense of a big brother, and so you have some big brothers that are tyrannical. They're like, this is the way you got to do it because it's always been done this way, and this is my way, and this is the right way, and you're going to do it this way. And no, whatever you think doesn't matter because you don't know. You're new, and I have experience, and I know. So you're going to do it this way. And then you have the mentor that's like, hey, hey, let me get to know you a little bit. Let's go on a walk. What? So what are you talking? What are you struggling with? Like, what are you thinking about? And so one might call that a friend, but it's just someone who's walked the path already that's walking it with you.
Yeah, in college, because I was involved with Crew, which used to be
Mhm.
called Campus Crusade for Christ, and we did a ton of like discipleship, which
Mhm.
was like intentional relationships where there was one person who was the discipler or the mentor, and the other one was the disciplee, the mentee, and the purpose was like, this is how you read the Bible. This is like, ask all your hard questions, and I'll give you the best answers I have. And so to me, mentorship was always like a very intentional and explicit relationship. And often you do like for a year, and then it would transition into a friendship where it was just like equal playing field.
Mhm.
But I always, when I hear the word mentor, I always hear superior, inferior, at least for the time. And some of that's just like superior knowledge. Like I have more knowledge than the other person, so I'm giving the knowledge that I have. Even like with like corporate office type thing, even.
That might have worked 50 years ago. Um, Institutional trust of all kinds has come down significantly. And so I don't see it as the Zoomers really being insubordinate or the youngins being insubordinate in because I was the same way. I was like, why do I want to be mentored by you? I don't want to be like you. You don't have anything to offer me. Um, Whereas people I wanted to be friends with, though the people I wanted to be friends with, those were people that I was like, I like this person. I want to be more like them in this way. Like
Yeah.
I want to be more like them in that specific way. And I was like, oh, that's like the voluntary mentorship. It's not mentor. I mean, it is. So like I'm making I guess you could say I'm making the explicit implicit. Where the friendship thing for TLC, I made the implicit explicit. For this, I'm making the explicit implicit.
Wait,
And
say
like
that again.
I have become I'm making the explicit the what you're saying is mentorship. I'm saying no, no, no. I am my brother's keeper. So you could call it brotherhood. You could call it friendship. You could simply call it caring about another person in order to walk with them in whatever that they're going through and
Yeah.
providing whatever help or guidance that so like how often do people call me up and say like, hey Neil, I need your explicit guidance on X or Y or Z? It never happens. So it could be like, oh, I'm not mentoring anyone. Oh, here's another thing, I'm teaching a Bible study now for high school kids once every Saturday, and they asked me to do it again next year, so I guess I haven't gotten fired yet. um so
Heck
like
yeah.
I guess that's more explicit. um but it like that's all we're doing half the time in TLC is mentoring. So all we're doing is talking and talking and talking, talking, and we are formed to the extent that we actually care about the other person and the things that they are talking about, the things that they care about. Um, except for Luke Thompson, he's not formed by anyone because he's formless and void. You know,
You talk about care more than most people would feel comfortable talking about care. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just like it's abundantly clear how much you care. And I think a lot of people are, I don't know if it's afraid or if it's like they feel like it's cringe, but like most people don't like to admit they care about anything.
that's cringe.
Nihilism.
Care is all I got.
What's
That's
the
it.
third thing you care about? Because
What
you
what were the
have,
first two?
well, the first one was friendships. The
Yeah,
second one was also friendships. I'm
but
not going to give you the word
mentoring.
mentor.
Yeah,
I'll give
yeah,
you
yeah,
I'll give you brotherhood. You've got friendships and you've
yeah,
got brotherhood, and you said there's a third thing you're doing in DLC.
yeah. Evangelization, spreading the gospel.
I
But
got in
the
trouble for talking about that the other day. Actually,
yeah.
I think
So
twice
so
twice in a week. I've been in
I
trouble.
am and honestly this is like half the time I think this is a weakness rather than a strength. But I think we spread the gospel by people saying themselves, I want to be friends with those guys. I want to be in that group. I want to be in that number. I want to be like them. And that is how we do it. Like what got me out of the lurk. This is genuinely what got me out of the lurk.
Okay, but
That,
for you getting out of the lurk, was that the same thing as you being evangelized?
in some ways, yes. Now, was I okay? So really, the question is, we think of evangelization as someone who does not accept Jesus, then accepting Jesus as their Lord and Savior. I'm not disputing that binary is important. That binary is important. It is important. But the way I think of evangelization as faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love. And I am less concerned with convincing people that Jesus is the way and the truth and the life than I am with making sure that the 10 apostles make sure that Thomas is in that room that following Sunday night. They make sure that our brother is in the room. It's not up to us to multiply the loaves and the fishes. It's up to us to bring what we have and walk with our brother or sister, for that matter. But yeah. So the way I think of evangelization is, Lord, increase our faith. And that's as much for the people doing evangelization as it is for the people out there. Now, for the people out there, you might even say, like, hope in existence itself, hope in life itself. Man, if we bring no one else to Christ, but if we bring hope in people's lives, that is something. That ain't nothing. So I think we have the order of operations all wrong. There are plenty of people running the evangel. Wait, real quick. There are plenty of people running the evangelist playbook. Like there's enough Christians out there that are running the standard evangelist playbook. And if they're going to have success with certain people in the standard evangelist playbook, more power to them. That's awesome. And what I'm saying is, like, TLC, we are not running the standard playbook. That's not what this space does.
I mean, we're not really even running a playbook. If we are, I haven't gotten the mail yet.
Yeah.
You said we have the order of operations all wrong.
Yes.
Who is the we, and what's the order of operations?
So the order of operations is accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. Accept him now. Oh, you've accepted him? Now I can be your friend. Come into my church. Now do this checklist of tasks. Wait, you reject one of these checklists steps of tasks. You can't be in the church. Get out. Oh, you accept this stuff. Okay, now we can be friends. Okay, you accepted Jesus as your Savior. You run the checklist of tasks, like doing all the things that are the proper things to be a Christian. Now I can be your friend. And I'm saying that order of operations is flat wrong. It is flat wrong. Now, maybe it works in other parts of the world that are not thoroughly postmodern, that have not deconstructed all institutional strength, power, form, etc. Yeah. The thing that works now is, I want to be more like those guys, or I want to be one of them, and I'm invited to be one of them. What brought me out of the lurk was Chad having his denim dinner and my realization that I couldn't go. I could have still actually gone, in retrospect, but I was too afraid to be like a random stranger. And I was like because I didn't know, they didn't know me. You know, I knew them because many of them, like Grim and Chad, because I was lurking, but they didn't know me. And so I was like, all right, I gotta come out of the lurk. I gotta talk to Chad, and I gotta start doing this stuff. And now, the real question is, has TLC made me a better Christian? Has it increased my faith? I think so. I can't tell you that definitively. Like I don't like I took my faith seriously 5 years ago as I was coming into it, but like it was a much more self-centered faith. Like I was much more vertical focused, like just trying to get myself in order, you could say. And I
That's good.
wasn't yeah, I wasn't yet onto the horizontal. Like I had much more anger and resentment and yeah, I just yeah.
Did you become Catholic after coming out of Lurk or before?
No. I became Catholic in 2018 or sorry, 2019. Yeah. Well, like I started Catholic education end of 2018 and became Catholic Easter of 2019.
And when did you come out of Lurk?
2023? Yeah, I think that's right. End of November of 2023, I had my original rando with Chad. Yeah.
So then, okay, because this is so interesting to me.
Yeah.
When you were talking about evangelism, what makes you go to coming out of the Lurk then rather than how you became Catholic? Because that's just interesting how you jumped to the Lurk thing,
Mhm.
and then I wasn't sure when you became Catholic in like the time frame of everything.
Yeah. So around so I think I did first see a video by PVK or like part of a video of PVK when he made his first Genesis series reaction back in 2018, or actually it was 2017 when he did that. Um, but I watched a little bit of PVK and I thought he was kind of boring. He wasn't compelling speaker, and so I just didn't give it any other thought. And then I guess the algo was probably serving me during I think starting around COVID time because I was learning yeah I was learning game development stuff. Like, oh yeah, it was when Peterson disappeared. Like when Peterson stopped being yeah it was around COVID because when Peterson stopped putting stuff out like I was like searching for new stuff to listen to and that's when I ran across Pajot. And so it was like maybe 2019, 2020, I ran across Pajot and Vervaeke and Vanderclay, and also some of the other early TLC people like Sevilla King and Mary Cohen um, and Karen Wong. And that was like maybe 2019 to 2020. There were other people too. There was Andrea with the bangs, and there was this guy. You were watching this guy, the guy with the mohawk with Grib Grizz channel, the sorting myself out guy. I don't know his name. I'm actually really curious what happened to that guy because I
Is
haven't
his
seen him
name
in a long
Mercury?
time. Yes, that's it. But because Grim Grizz was doing stuff with him when Grim Grizz came out of the lurk, but I don't know what happened to that guy. Um, I think they had a falling out, but I don't know. Um, yeah, so I was watching a lot of their conversations and it was just really interesting stuff. And I didn't really realize that there was a community forming around Paul Vanderclay for at least a year or two. Like I was just watching lots of Vervaeke, Waking Up from the Meaning Crisis, lots of Pajot, lots of like but I didn't realize there was a community downstream of PVK. And I probably realized that sometime in like 2022 where I started watching more PVK specifically, probably around 2022. If I go back to my earliest comments on PVK, I could probably find. And then by 2023, like I was on to Chat and Grim, and I was watching Chat and Grim a lot. And yeah, they were my spirit animals, I would say. Luke too, to a lesser extent. Sorry, Luke, you're third place for me. It's another thing I don't mind explicitly doing, especially when people are high status. I don't like punching down. I don't mind punching up. No, I love Luke just fine. Luke is a yeah, his superpower is getting people out of the lurk, getting people comfortable talking. Because I think I chatted on a couple of Luke's live streams even before I did my rando with Chad. Yeah.
But why did you jump to that rather than jump to becoming Catholic?
I was Catholic already.
But yeah, it's like if we go back a few paces,
Yeah.
I asked about evangelism, and you jumped to coming out of the lurk
Yes.
rather than becoming Catholic. I'm just curious what it was about coming out of the lurk that is so shiny to you? And I'm not trying to be like, oh, it's more important. TLC is more important than your Catholic faith. It's not at all what I'm trying to say. I'm just curious why evangelism brings you to the lurk
Mhm.
thing. And maybe I'm
Um,
honing in on something that's not even real.
yeah. Well, because we're doing something different than, let's say, within the Catholic space, you have Father Mike Schmitz, Bishop Barron, Trent Horn of Council of Trent, Pints with Aquinas, Matt, I forget his name, Matt Frad, maybe. So you have these, famous YouTube personalities or speakers that they're evangelizing just fine. They're doing their thing, and they're going to reach a number of people. And the same thing goes in the Protestant base. You got the Christian YouTube. They're going to reach people, and that's great. Um, what we're doing is something different, and it's elusive and mysterious and curious. And I, so long as I know friendship is the underpinning of it. I know we start by caring about each other first, and then because Jesus did not tell the 12 apostles like the moment they began walking with him. He didn't say go out. He didn't say, "Yo, tomorrow you're going to go out and you're going to um I mean, he did tell them they're going to become fishers of men, but he, obviously like the majority of the time they're following him around, learning from him. And the majority of the time we're just talking to each other, learning from each other and learning from the spirit of whatever is emerging between and among us. Um and so when there's an opportunity for us to be sent out in any way, shape, or form, we're going to be sent out. Um, like I'm sort of doing that with my gaming channel right now. Um, so we're bringing to bear the talents that we have, but our base of operations rather than a specific person. I mean, you could say it's PVK, but that's what MJ gets wrong. I don't know if you heard about the Substack, or maybe not. MJ published or tried to publish a Reddit article. I think it got rejected by the Reddit mods. And
I mean, we don't know
um,
for sure it was MJ.
oh, we don't.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know. Did you know for sure it was MJ?
No, I don't actually. I just assumed it was MJ because I don't know if that assumption is coming from. I don't know.
It sounds like an even longer comment that is in the same sort of literature style.
Yeah. Oh,
Certainly.
there was something, I won't say explicitly what, but there was something that made me confident it was MJ. I'll just
Yeah,
put it
yeah,
that
yeah.
way. So I could be wrong about that, but I probably 70% is my guess that it's MJ. Anyway, um, yeah, I guess because MJ's not actually friends with any of us. And so because of that, he doesn't realize like the spirit of this thing is not really focused on PBK per se. I think you have a sense of this now, like post Wisconsin and post some other things that um, like if PVK had to give up YouTube tomorrow, like we would keep doing what we're doing and we'd be friends. Like we would mourn, we would miss him dearly, but we would keep doing what we're doing and we would still be friends. Like it's not the like there's a critical mass when something gets started. Like there's like the internet was starting to be something, and then you had a .com crash, and then it's like, is the internet something? But then it reaches a critical point where it's beyond the person who started. Like Alcoholics Anonymous was like that with Bill W. in the first couple of chapters. It hits a tipping point where it's beyond the person. It's beyond whoever starts the thing. Um, and TLC has hit that point now. And the reason I can confidently say that is like my friendships with the 30 people that I listed out. Did I tell you that? Did I listed? Yeah, I did mention that earlier.
Yeah.
Um, so they're not dependent on PVK, meaning like PVK is actually not in that list. And it's not that I don't consider PVK a friend, and I would, but he's not someone I'm regularly in communication with, and neither do I feel like it necessary for me to be in regular communication with him um, in order to pursue things that I think are edifying toward my friends in the broader community. Yeah.
What's your time frame right now?
I'm good. Yeah, no, I still have time.
Because you started talking about deconstruction and postmodernism, and you left a comment. I think it was yesterday on one of my videos about there being a divide between postmodernism. So there's that over here,
Mhm.
but then over here, there's also the TLC wasn't always this Christian, and now it's pretty Christian.
Yeah.
Which
It's
door do you
not
want to open?
um it's not bad that we're more Christian. Like even someone
Well,
like
I mean, we're both Christians, so
yeah, no,
of course, it
exactly,
doesn't
exactly.
bother us.
Um
But what about all the people that were in the milieu that were like, "Oh, now this is like a Christian space," and like,
that's fine. You
I
know.
don't.
But um there are many times throughout the ministry of Jesus where the majority of people walk away. The majority. Like truly, truly I say to you, unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you will have no part in me. And Peter's like, where else are we gonna go? Like, or Jesus says to him, like, are you gonna go too? Like Jesus pushes people away time and time again. Um, like I said, I have the friends that I'm happy to have. If I make more friends along the way, that's awesome. But like, man, like I'm just and I know that the other people in this core nucleus feel the same way, and that they love the people that they've come in contact with, and we have no intention of stopping doing things in any way, shape, or form. And we want to make. I think Ezra actually nailed it recently. He said, "The branding is we make advertisements for our friends. Like we make art for our friends, and we make silly stuff for our friends, and like that was the best part of a college fraternity. Is like we just wanted to do things with our friends, for our friends, by our friends. And so much fun. And preach the gospel and sometimes use words.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think those that are doing the conventional, I'm very grateful for those who are doing the conventional evangelical evangelism thing. Whether they're Protestants, Catholics, Orthodox, etc. I'm very grateful for those that are doing the conventional thing, because it means that I don't feel like I have to step in and do the conventional thing. You know, there might be a time where I have to do something I really don't want to do, but I don't feel that way right now. And thanks be to God. Um, like it's remarkable. Like God has given me things that I can pursue and grow and build that I genuinely enjoy doing, which like if I'm able to build a relationship, increase someone's faith, increase someone's hope in the future, like there's nothing better I can do. Like that's glorious. That's awesome.
Did you get all the way through deconstructing your deconstruction?
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do the next episode because the next thing he talks about is like basically having to lie to his parents, and it it like it I don't know, it didn't seem. Yeah, it felt like his 7 episodes felt like the right end. Yeah, so I have no intention of rebooting that. Yeah. Yeah.
What did you learn about your deconstruction by deconstructing it that you didn't know before you started pulling it apart?
Yeah, I mean, it made me more, um it just it at least made me more, I hate this word, but it made me more certain about what I believe and why, and also our mission and why, and I had fun doing it, and, Yeah, it just made me more certain that I'm in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. That's it, you know? Um, and I thought it would be interesting to go back to that series because, like, I hadn't rewatched it, but, yeah, it's good to know, like, where we were. Because sometimes we don't even notice how much we've changed, you know? I think and sometimes we don't even realize how much the world has changed, and, it's good to have those points of reference every now and again.
Are you grateful for your deconstruction?
Yes. Yeah.
One of the things I was thinking about recently, somebody made a comment to me privately that like TLC saved them from deconstructing.
Mm,
And I was thinking about it, and I was thinking like, if I had encountered TLC when I was on my way out, it probably would have stopped me from deconstructing. And everyone is different, so this is not a generalization.
mhm.
But I think it would have been bad if I hadn't deconstructed.
Yeah.
And there is a part of me that wonders if some people need to finish the process of deconstructing. And I don't know if that is the case. And I can only look at my own life. Everything
Mhm,
else is projection,
mhm.
which we were kind of getting at earlier. My priest used the phrase the other day, uh, Jonah and the whale of salvation, and I had never heard the whale referred to by the moniker of salvation, and I was like, that's an interesting take. And I started thinking about how many things my deconstruction saved me from. And in many ways, being swallowed was rescue in many ways. And for me, I had to go into the dark and be in the dark for longer than I would have liked. And I don't think that's the case for everyone. But I wonder if it might not be best for some people that are, I don't know, wanting transformation and feel like they just can't get there. If it's like, you might need to go into the dark. And that means like no internet. Like you need to sever some ties in order to like become a new kind of human being, because the internet is this huge thing that's tied to us. And I kind of think it's like it can hold you back because you're like you can't really move as long as you're tied to it. But I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. We do not bring the fish. The fishermen do not bring the fish over to the boat. We just make sure the nets are in good working order. The nets are clean. The nets are ready. That's it. That's what we do. And when we are told to lower the net, we lower the net. When we're told to raise the net, we raise the net. And for some, that's going to be live streams. For some, it's going to be art. For some, it's going to be pre recorded conversations. And some will yield one, some five, some 10, some 100. For me, it was 30.
Friends.
Yeah. But of those 30, has any of their faith weakened since coming into contact with me. Maybe it's possible. I think people who TLC does not have a positive effect on are thrown into the outer darkness where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. No, I think they they go their own way. You know, they move out. They yeah, and often they come back again um, when they're when they're in a place where they're back to looking to fellowship. Like I don't know. I guess I really do trust in the Holy Spirit in these things to lead and to guide, and I think it's on us to be listening and be ready and be willing. But yeah, the Catholic Church regards the sin of Adam as necessary. There's a line in the Easter Vigil Mass, "Oh, necessary sin of Adam, most necessary sin of Adam." You can look that up. So that when you mentioned others need to finish deconstructing, made me think of that. It's like, you got to hit rock bottom, sir. Have at it.
Yeah, it's different than rock bottom, though. It's not the same place. Because I hit my own little rock bottom well after I finished deconstructing.
That was me too, by the way. I think there's the wave that comes after the earthquake. So there's an impact. There's your rock bottom, but then there's still the effects of the wave as a result of that. So, we think that, so my lowest point, my most depressed, the most I was suffering, I'll say, was a year after my brother's death. It wasn't like that suffering was not alleviated when I was determined to become a Christian. I mean, it started then, but it's like, okay, here's another way of thinking about it. The darkest night of the year is not the coldest night of the year. It's not coldest on Christmas. It keeps getting colder even after the light's coming back and we see signs of hope and it's getting lighter again. It keeps getting colder for some period of time. I think that's true in a lot of things. Maybe everything.
Say that again.
The thing that causes the transformation does not instantly begin. It does not instantly turn the tide. The thing that lights the beacons to get Rohan to come to Minas Tirith to save the day, it takes time for Rohan to reach Minas Tirith. It gets worse before it gets better. King Theoden has to decide to summon Rohan. They have to actually head over. So we like to think like we have the conversion and we are fixed and things are just solved, or we've set a course and the new course now it's just going to be better. And there needs to be some period of time after the decision is made, after the event happens. So the days start getting brighter again post December 26th or whatever. It still gets colder for some period of time before the effect of the change is really seen and felt and understood. And for me, that was 1 year. It took a full year post change to actually begin to feel like, to even begin to come up again. Like I was still going down.
And what about the meaning crisis? Are you still in the meaning crisis?
No, not at all. I have so much meaning in my life. Like I have meaning with you in this conversation right now. I have meaning with my family. I have meaning in my local church, which isn't doing great. And it's possible that my local church will close within the next 5 years. I have meaning within this Acts retreat where I have so many men that are so eager to serve and looking for hope and aiming to bring that hope to others in my local community. And meaning in this internet phenomenon called TLC. Um, man, like I have meaning abounding. So that's what I mean by the grace and the glory of God, in our capacity and ability to serve and the opportunities that are presented to us. Um, but for society as a whole, so we are, not to toot our own horn, but the people that are in the TLC, we are on the tip of the meaning crisis spear. So we already have seen the light. And I am kind of being self-aggrandizing here, but I don't think I'm wrong about this. Like we know that, okay. I'm going to try to frame this in a way that's understandable. We presumed that if we just did the right things, we presumed that if we go to college and we save money and we work hard and we do all these things, and then we could have the suburban home and the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids, and we presumed that life is just normally good and things are good and are going to be stable and that we'd have the end of history. We presumed all of that. And church could just be this thing that we do on Sundays and we have community and la 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 la. And then isn't God good because God has given us all these blessings in our day-to-day life with our 2.5 kids and our 2-car garage and our wonderful, peaceful suburban life. And we assumed that that's the way it would be. You know, that's the American way and the American life in America. And then we found, most of us within the TLC, that for whatever reason, that standard American dream was insufficient, or it did not check all of our check boxes, the things that we longed for, the things that we needed, the things that we hoped for. And there's a variety of reasons why that's the case for each of us, for all of us. But I think that's one of the things that's common among many, maybe all of us within the TLC, especially those that I now consider friends. Yeah. So we reached this realization that the American dream is only possible under a very specific set of circumstances at a specific time in history. And we realized that for whatever reason, it was not applicable or capable of being realized in our own lives in some way, shape, or form, or at least in that standard form where we check the checkbox. And it was a realization that we need to pivot to something more fundamental, more elemental, something higher, something that's beyond just the standard checklist of things of this world. Open ourselves up to grace. Maybe that's another way of putting it. And then in that pivot, it opens us to other things too. Other possibilities, other ways of thinking about the world. And I think, so what I'm saying is like that wave of the meaning crisis of the fading American dream or the changing American dream. I think there are many still, as that ship is coming apart, there are many still that are hanging on to the planks of that ship, and are like, yeah, if I just get my kid into Harvard, like things will be fine. Or if if maybe I'll go the blue collar route, or maybe I'll become a healthcare nurse. And honestly, I think America is going to keep on sailing for quite some time, just fine. But what I am saying is that the American dream in the form that was assumed post World War II, it's no longer that simple. It's the winds are no longer blowing in the favor of that ship. You could still get there, but you need to be crafty and clever and unique about it. You need to be that's a good way of putting it. You need to be intentional about it rather than assuming these things are automatically going to check into place. Um, but then there's beyond the intentionality, and I think that's where I depart from, let's say, um, the traditionalists, because maybe you sort the Christians into the postmodernists and the traditionalists, and the traditionalists will say, well, the reason that the American dream ship is coming apart is because we gotta center back on God, and if we center back on God, then we'll have all these good things, and and we just have to turn away from all those temptations, and they're not wrong. They're not wrong, but I think in the back of their minds, they're still thinking about it transactionally, as in like, if we center back on God, then we will have the American dream again. Like we will get from God. It's almost like a transactional prosperity gospel in some way. Like
Yeah.
assuming we repent fast enough and soon enough, like as long as we repent fast enough and soon enough, then we'll be back to like the way it should be. And we don't have to give up electricity or the internet. We just have to like repent and be back to the Lord. And then as long as we're focused on the Lord, then things will be okay. And where I've turned in the other direction, go straight postmodern, and been like, but I don't in some like I've been criticized from time to time as being black pilled, but I actually think it's the opposite of that. It's like through the black pill, which is that it's like instead of the turn to the Lord and then we get all these things, it's like I'm gonna turn to the Lord and like I'm gonna do the Bilbo. So I'm gonna do like the, hey, I'm Lord, I'm here to serve. Like, I don't know what you have in store. I don't know what you have in store for me. I don't know what you have in store for my family. I don't know what you have in store for my community. I don't know what you have in store for my country, for the world. I just don't know. I'm here to serve. Like what's your will? And and like it's not that I'm trying to tell people to like get out of the ship, because so on one hand, like people have to deconstruct, like you mentioned, they have to go through it themselves, but you don't push a child to understanding things faster than they're ready for. You don't push people to understanding where we're headed faster than they're ready for. um but on the other hand, like the opposite's true, where it's like you don't try uh what's the biblical, don't offer pearls to swine sort of thing. So like if
Yeah.
someone is still desperately clutching onto parts of the ship, like you're not gonna be like, get on my little raft here, because they're still like desperately, it's like, no, I'll wait, like I'll wait. There are other people that are in the water that we can get on our little rafts and stuff. And so like if you think of the ship being like the post World War II consensus, or if you think of the ship being like American prosperity as such, or all the um yeah. So like I guess my assumptions as to where God is going to lead me, us, our country, the world, like I don't know. Like I genuinely don't know. And I don't presume that like us focusing back on God collectively as a culture will get us what we want. I just presume that us focusing back on God collectively as a culture, we will be in line with God, and whatever God decides is good. So like not um another example that drives me nuts is like the Christians that'll say, we all know why we're here, right? Because we're trying to get into heaven. I'm like, no, it's not why we're here. We're trying to do the will of the Lord, the will of God, no matter what, come hell or high water. Like, do the will of God and let the outcomes be whatever they are. And there's a difference. It's like the transactional versus the relational. It's like, Lord, I accept your will. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, the shift between transactional to relational is enormous. And so much of our world is transactional. So it could be like sometimes it's hard to know how to have a relationship when all you've ever had is a transaction. I'm probably at the end.
Yeah, you seem a little beat, but no, it's good. It's all good. We had a great 2 hours.
I am glad to call you friend. I'm glad to be called friend. Glad to know you. I think it's interesting when you were talking about black pill. I think there's a lot of fruit in those final sentences for more conversation down the road. Because I think that there's a generational divide that people talk about a lot, but in the same way that with Trump, there was a public-private disconnect, I think there's another one happening right now. Because a lot of my private conversations with people are very different than what those same people say publicly. And this is not TLC related. This is like my personal life. And yeah, I wonder if the public will. I have many wonders. Many wonders.
We are going to live in an interesting century. No matter how it goes, it's going to be a very interesting century. So, and all I can say is you are meant to be here because you are here. And I am meant to be here because I am here. And, you know, that's a comforting thought, as Gandalf said. So, let's do it.
Let's.